So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Jordan.
Or I was gonna say she's actually from the Lansing area too, so she's local.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Yeah, there's quite a few Douglas Jays around the state of Michigan and I guess all throughout the country. So
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm in the East Lansing
got it.
location. So nice and local.
That's great. Well, I think we can get started. And if anyone wants to join in, we can go from there. So we decided to call it a master class. My name is Andrea McSwain. I'm an osteopathic physician and trained as an obstetrician gynecologist, always with a holistic bend and mentored by the co-founder of the American Holistic Medical Association, which started in 1975. So I just listened to a Instagram interview from one of my mentors. She's 103. And she definitely inspired me. And then I trained conventionally. And then I went on to, as an osteopath, use advanced cranial manipulation techniques. So when I started the Michigan Center for Functional Medicine, which turned into Michigan Center for Holistic Medicine, I always knew that a medical spa was really paramount because the skin, as the largest organ of the body and also readily accessible, allows for us to initiate healing so much faster than often working from the gut or the liver and all those other very important organs. The other thing is that I saw that dermatologists were really kind of going into, kind of two modes. So, when in doubt, add steroids, right? And then a lot of burning off of lesions, which then led to scarring, which then led to more lesions. And I felt like, really, who are the experts in in skincare? That's when I met Natalie Baus, the founder of KPS Essentials, as well as Ron Webb, and their formulations truly help heal the largest organ of the body. And that's really how the med spa came to be about 5 years ago. So it was I can't even say that actually. I think 6 years ago, we really just right from the beginning of the Michigan Center for Holistic Medicine brought in the ideals of the value of healing the skin. And then Jordan came on 4 years ago. So we've been a team for quite a few years now. Jordan, do you want to introduce yourself? And
Absolutely. And yes. So my name is Jordan Zink, and I am a Grand Rapids local. I have been an esthetician for 5 years now, and I've just loved every second of it. I too also went to Douglas J. Aveda, and what I realized in school more than ever was just how many people went a different route. Like, not many people were talking about your skin as the largest organ. They didn't even really touch base on how much healing is so complex when you get out in the profession, and how you really have to take a diverse approach to helping people heal. And I really learned so much in the field of just actually working with clients, of just how much every single one of us have such an individualized approach and needs to really heal. And I just fell in love with just holistic health in general. I live a very holistic lifestyle, and I always just wanted to teach other people that they could live better and live in a way that honors themselves and their bodies, and to feel really good every day, and to exude that health and wellness. And I think that's just why we're all here.
so we're going to focus today on nutrition and some micronutrient deficiencies. Nutrition is one of the 5 lifestyle pillars of lifestyle medicine. So it's diet, movement, sleep, stress, and relationships. And so within diet, or what we eat, is also kind of what our skin eats, which is important, and drinks, and then how we can kind of recognize those deficiencies in our client/patients, so that we can understand what they're going through as we interpret the skin from a level of micronutrient deficiency. Right? Should I keep going a little bit? So we wanted to highlight, obviously, hydration, but then also 3 other micronutrients. So omega-3s, and what were the other 2 that I give myself a lot of thumbs up?
Omega 3s, vitamin A, and collagen.
Yeah, so vitamin A and collagen, awesome. And then what we can see from some of those signs of deficiency, and then how we can support people. So I think Jordan has done a marvelous job at preparing for this masterclass. So I want to turn it over to you for a while, Jordan.
Thank you. So the biggest thing, and I think that we all really just need to take, a moment to just understand like how much consultations can really provide, a big asset to just what you need to learn about your client. And so I always take things one step further. When I'm doing consultations and meeting with people, I really take it a point to get to know their lifestyle habits, their stress, their hydration, the adequate amount of nutrition that they get in their bodies, if they take any vitamins, minerals, or supplements at the moment, because it also gives you a really good baseline to understand how they will respond to treatments. Because if your body is deficient in any way, your response to treatments can't just be a product alone. It has to have an internal and external approach. And that may look like feeding your largest organ, feeding your body internally, getting some outside sources like IV therapy, supplementation, some naturopathic routes through just how to heal the body. And so there's so many ways to help your largest organ to heal and thrive. And there's a few different things that I've noticed in my own practice of just taking clients myself, especially when it comes to omega-3s. Omega-3s are one of the things I think that the most of people are deficient in. Usually I can tell by when someone comes up to me and says, I have sensitive skin, I get red easily, my face is always red and inflamed, my face feels really tight and dry. My hair is very brittle. It's starting to thin. My joints always feel a little bit achy. I experience a lot of brain fog, poor concentration, poor memory. And oftentimes it's really easy to just kind of gloss over those things, but I always take it one step deeper of tell me more. When did this start? How long have you had this? When did you notice, where on the skin do you experience this? Do you experience this all over? I get to know and familiarize myself with their products because again, we live in a very toxic world. That's not to scare anybody or to bring fear, but it's just the reality that there's so many things that we come in contact with, like environmental pollutants, environmental stressors, our day to day, our wear and tear that happens as we age. And so there's so many things that we come in contact with that can affect our skin barrier. And so oftentimes when you experience some of these things, or have these symptoms, you may think that you have sensitive skin, but it's really just because the sensitization is happening from that impaired skin barrier. So it's always paramount that before you do any further treatments or do anything invasive like needling, dermaplaning, or any plant-powered peels, depending on what you're using within your practice or where you're going to go and what you're going to use, it's super paramount that you start with the skin barrier and really building it up first and feeding it the essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. It really needs to repair that.
So omega-3s are designed as in our body to be very calming. There are a few types of omega-3s. Oftentimes, omega-3s are fish oils, and there's a quality level for sure in terms of fish oils. And then there are plant-based omega-3s, and those are chia seeds, walnuts, and then there's an estrogen-based omega-3, which is flaxseed. So flaxseed also has a lot of estrogen. So that's sometimes a little bit more careful. You have to be. Now, when we do labs on people, we often do an omega-3 panel, and we see that very deficient very often. It's very easy to recover. You might hear my 13-year-old talking in the background, and that's because this is how we live. So anyway, yes, she's very entertaining. Okay, so then, looking at some of the other things that I noticed too is some red pigmentation in the tricep area. And so those little red dots that people complain about, and it's ironic because when I say that, I'm sure you've remembered people throughout your whole life just talking about that, like, or you see it, there's just like a red dot field. Not so much a patch, it's just a bunch of red dots. Because as Jordan said, people are inflamed. They can't really have that healing process that needs to happen when they don't have good fatty acids. And so, the other thing about holistic medicine, I think you mentioned, Jordan, is asking questions. Because a long time ago, when I was a med student, I don't like to put it like that, but that's true. A long time ago, When I grew up in Phoenix and Mayo Clinic was there, they talked about some of the keys that Mayo Clinic had in finding success. And one of those things was to get a good history and to look for patterns. And so with patients and looking for holistic health, it's not so much finding that symptom to be addressed, but it's really asking the questions, okay, you have this symptom, I'm seeing inflammation. Well, if I'm seeing a lot of inflammation, they're pro-inflammatory, but they're also probably pretty fatigued in their anti-inflammatory effects, which are the omega-3s. Okay, so I kind of see that formulaic equation there in the body. Too much inflammation can often mean just a deficiency in the anti-inflammatory omega-3s. And so a lot of times people will trend towards reducing the inflammation, but actually what they need to do is bolster the omega-3s to help with that healing process. Again, looking at some of those questions, like, do you eat fish? I hate fish. Okay, well, that's probably a pretty telltale sign they're going to be omega deficient, because that's where a lot of people get those omega-3s. What do you about nuts and seeds? Oh, no, I never do that in my diet. Or, what are chia seeds? That's a very good question. So you start to gear some questions on, Zoom does this for me, thumbs up. You start to gear some questions towards their skin and what they're eating, and then what their skin gets to eat. And then if we could segue a little bit into KPS does a lot of anti-inflammatory, very high quality oils. And do you want to talk about that, Jordan? And then I can add some things too.
So with KPS, some of their oils, like they have the aromatherapy cleansing oil, they have the ozone cleansing oil, and something that I think is a big myth in life and just in the aesthetic world is that oils are going to make you break out. I'm a big fan, and I've always been a big fan of oil cleansing. Your skin needs essential fatty acids, and there's so many things that strip our skin barrier. And so a lot of people veer away from oil cleansing, but I always steer people towards oil cleansing because you need those strong omega nutrients to feed that skin barrier, because it's not only going to deeply cleanse your skin, but it's going to restore those oils, balance those oils. It's going to make sure that your barrier is not stripped of all the essential nutrients it needs to maintain that integrity, because everything that you do afterwards is either going to feed a balance or feed an imbalance. And so it's super important, like, that you have a balanced state, because that's the only state that your skin can thrive in. And so I always encourage everyone to look at healing the skin as bringing everything back to a state of balance. And so with KPS, they have something called the cleansing trio. It's a cleansing oil, it's a cream cleanser, it's a toner. And those products specifically really help to feed the skin a bunch of antioxidants. Antioxidants help fight off free radical damage, environmental pollutants, the negative signs of aging in the skin. It really helps to accentuate and feed the tissue of the skin and really bring it back to life. And so even just by those cleansing products, I've seen tremendous success with clients who had very red, intense inflamed skin have a complete turnaround of their barriers restored, because you're taking something like the cleansing oil that's feeding those omega fatty nutrients. Then you're pouring into, a cream cleanser that's still exfoliating but hydrating. It has salicylic acid that's derived from white willow bark. So again, it's feeding a lot of antioxidant values from the rose hips in it as well, which is a natural form of retinol, which we'll get into later. And then you also have the probiotic toner that's feeding healthy probiotics and prebiotics to the skin. And so it's not going to strip your skin, it's just feeding that balance. And so all these things are really thoughtfully made through the health of the skin and everything it needs. Like, our skin needs antioxidants, it needs a ton of vitamins and minerals to really thrive. And so these really feed your skin that as well.
And since
There's
we're
also,
go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say one last thing is that even just hyaluronic, like hyaluronic is a big factor nowadays that everyone's like, use hyaluronic acid, but what you don't realize, and I didn't realize even either until I had a conversation with Rob Reb, who is one of the co-founders with the KPS Essentials and created these products with Natalie, is he said that hyaluronic alone isn't stable. Like, it technically teaches your skin to essentially be the Sahara Desert because it robs your skin of the ability to replenish itself with its own moisture abilities. Because our skin is so intelligent, it's supposed to be able to replenish itself with moisture. But when we feed it certain ingredients that don't synergistically work with your skin to teach it these things, it ends up teaching your skin that, oh, hands are off. I don't need to do it. You take the wheel. Like, you replenish myself. But what happens is that then your skin's left more dry, it's more depleted. And so they formulated their Hydrolax line with something called Dermanu technology. And we'll get into that a little bit more later as well. But that really helps to fortify your skin and feed it all of the reserves of hydration that's necessary. But by doing that, it's teaching your skin to pull into those reserves and replenish itself. And so you're not just getting hydra or hyaluronic, you're getting a whole process of teaching your skin to feed itself that hyaluronic support.
Right. And hyaluronic acid is a huge topic. So that'll be something too we can target in another masterclass, a lot more details, because it has a lot of nuances, as Jordan mentioned, along with Ron Webb, who is a scientist, who is an engineer and takes these products very seriously in their design. But one of the things, back to kind of looking also at the oils, is the oils in aromatherapy cleansing oil. You have the highest quality argan oil. So argan oil is naturally beneficial to the skin. It's so healing. It has its own healing components. That is much different when you also add either aromatherapy items. So that's what they have, the aromatherapy cleansing oil. It's argan, and then you have a lot of aromatherapy oils that will maximize the absorption of the oil and maximize the anti-inflammatory properties as well as the antimicrobial properties. And then it's ozonated, and adding ozone actually has its own healing and oxygenation components. That oil is profoundly nourishing to the skin. The kind of other things people do with oils is they add coconut oil, and coconut oil is a good oil. It is not a great oil. It is a good oil. It is nice and fatty. It's really good to put on the skin, like kind of before you get into the shower. It's just kind of a basic, nice, supportive fat. And then there are some other ones that are also very helpful in general, like testosterone oil, olive oil, because it's an omega-9. It makes hormone support, just like flaxseed helps make estrogens, right? So there's definitely some hormonal properties sometimes in oils, which can be good and bad. You kind of have to know that world. But then we look at like mineral oil. And mineral oil is a nutrient and hydration depleting oil. It is present in a lot of very popular products. And I just tell people, those products are designed to keep the stockholders happy. That's not designed to keep the skin happy. So things like Cetaphil and the list goes on. So if you see mineral oil, it's actually a nutrient depleting oil. Can you give me 1 second? It's actually a nutrient depleting oil so that people will feel that layer. It won't penetrate. They'll feel that oiliness. It won't penetrate. And then it will actually serve as a drying agent to the skin. So that is something, another really good question about, well, what are you putting on your skin? And I know that there's a huge market for Neutrogena. And, a lot of people are saying like, oh, I've put that on forever. And it's like, well, the stockholders are happy, but your skin is not. And that is exactly why these drying agents are part of a lot of lotions. And that's a really big aha moment for people because they recognize that they're actually adding a drying agent to their skin. That's why their skin is getting dry. And then they're wondering why their skin is dry and they have to add more. So that is just kind of a conversation. We talked a lot about the omega-3s as an important part of understanding nutrients, and then looked at just some of the oils that are available in different products. So I do want to introduce Sadie. She's on, or should I say
Yes.
Sadie, as she has become extremely famous and admired in our Lansing office. This is Sadie, our Lansing esthetician.
Hi.
We're very happy that you're
I'm
here.
so glad that you could join.
Yes, me too.
And of course, Sadie looks wonderful. And we just did actually a PRP session on Sadie about a month ago. So that was pretty awesome. And
Yes, that was great.
soon. So, okay. So kind of back to, we talked about oils, omega-3s, and, you know, how to get some oil on the skin that really actually hydrates, nourishes the skin, and feeds the skin. That's kind of the main point. So next is
vitamin A. So this is personally one of my favorites because vitamin A is something that we all crave. I hear this all the time in my treatment room. I wanted to get ahead and take preventive measures towards my aging. My skin has been looking dull, uneven, and a little bit older. I'm really oily and acne prone. What will even help my skin? I struggle with textured skin and scarring. Nothing's really taken my scarring away. I have sensitive skin and I reacted really poorly to retinol. Does that mean I can't take any preventive measures towards aging? These are all concerns that I have heard with me or heard in my treatment room from my clients over the years. Vitamin A is actually one of the only active ingredients that creates well, I can't say that word, change within the skin and in the matrix of the dermis. It's one of the most profound ingredients that our skin really needs to thrive. It helps skin cells create new skin cell turnover. It helps bring new skin cells healthy to the surface. Our skin actually has receptors for vitamin A that really responds really well, and it knows exactly how to respond the minute that it recognizes vitamin A in any nutritious products that you have. But not all forms of retinol are created equal. And so it's super important to not only educate yourself on those forms, but also educate your clients. And so a lot of my clients that have come into my room have told me that they were using tretinoin, which it's one of the most, I'd say, prescribed forms of retinol. But what people don't realize is that tretinoin is actually a preservative. So it's a synthetic form of retinol that actually causes more harm than it does good. It has been linked to tumor growth. Again, not meant to scare anybody, but again, it's just super important to understand just what you're feeding your skin. It's toxic in any form of dose. It has been known to cause possible endocrine disruptors, which again, especially with you deal with clients who have hormones, like, you know, the fact that it could disrupt your hormones is a really big thing. It's, you know, should be one of the biggest topics that we talk about in the treatment room, but it's not at some points of our careers. And so again, what you're feeding the skin can affect the hormones. And so something like tretinoin that's overly recommended just isn't going to help support your skin as you age. Things like Tazorac is a new form of retinol that a lot of people are using. Again, it contains different synthetic forms of BHA and BHT, which are also cause endocrine disruptors. And so a lot of times you're like, okay, then what retinol do I even use? And something that I will do is that if a client comes to me and they're using a retinol or they're using any product, I highly recommend looking them up on the database on Environmental Workers Group. It's a free database. It will rate your products from 1 to 10, being 10 is the most toxic, 1 is the most, you know, recommended for just not going to cause any type of health issues. And so it's interesting that retinol in the synthetic form, which unless it's a vitamin A derivative from the actual vitamin, it is synthetic. And so anything that's on the market that's not from a derivative of the vitamin itself is synthetic, which according to the EWG is rated 9 out of 10. And so if you think that 10 is the most toxic on the rating, 9 out of 10 is a really big deal. And so I personally, along with our practice, really resonates with the natural form of retinols. Like rosehip oil is a hugely beneficial form of retinol. It's actually equal to, if not better than retin A itself, because it contains the natural form of retinoids. So your skin immediately absorbs it, immediately understands it and recognizes it and uses it for its own good. I'm a big fan of apricot kernel oil. That's another form of retinol that's extremely high source of vitamin A. It also is rich in omega-6 and omega fatty acids. And again, if you remember from our previous conversation, omega fatty acids are needed for the skin. So imagine a retinol that's feeding those omega fatty acids in your skin. Your skin is just continually thriving. And I'd love for you to touch base on both of those two, Dr. McSwain, and give some more feedback on what these products help with, what other benefits as well to these two types of retinols.
Yes. So vitamin A, we all know that we need it. And then what has happened over several decades is the pharmaceutical industry has introduced vitamin A in many synthetic forms. So, you have tretinoin, which I always say, like a retinoid, synthetic retinoid. And then you have Accutane, both topical and oral. And the oral is much more severe in its liver toxicity, so much so that it's fetal toxic. And when people take an oral Accutane, they also have to take a birth control because it's counterproductive for life, basically. So it's fetal toxic. So anyone taking an oral Accutane is going to really have sustained liver dysfunction for years to decades past the use of oral Accutane. And so when you meet someone that might have scarring from acne, you might say, and they're struggling with their weight, they're struggling with their mood, they're struggling with abdominal bloating. You might be really giving them an insight to say, wow, did you use oral Accutane? Because if they use topical, it's not the same thing. But if they used oral, they really need to focus also a lot on their liver. And they have never been told that because vitamin A is processed so much through the liver that when people get a toxic vitamin A, it really is toxic to the liver. And unfortunately, I've had to live that. I had oral Accutane at the age of 14. I had some pretty deep acne. And of course, went on birth control to protect myself from the oral Accutane. So I kind of lived that 32 years ago. And then just recognizing over then the next several decades, the liver consequences of such a strong medicine. And one of the reasons is that the body loves vitamin A for healing. And a very important part of vitamin A is carrots. And carrots actually contain a vitamin A that is cancer protective and cancer therapeutic. That's how much the body loves vitamin A. It will actually help people. It will actually help people to address their cancer. And it's often apart from a dietary perspective of cancer therapies, and particularly juicing carrots. And so we know the value of A. And so, of course, our skin and so many other parts of our bodies would want to receive A. And so the other thing is, yeah, when you have a synthetic in such a highly needed vitamin, then you're going to really be kind of welcoming that toxin almost in because it's getting in, filling those receptors that are looking for A, and because it looks so much like that. And then, obviously oral ingestion of a synthetic A is different than topical, but you're still getting transdermal absorption that's going to the underlying blood supply within 1 minute. So then we're looking at, the A that's synthetic getting into the skin when we really can be using a much more natural, high quality A that's actually nourishing the skin, protecting the skin. And then we look at maybe reducing skin cancer for that person, or maybe also then allowing the ingested A that they take to help their bodies in other areas.
Absolutely. And rosehip oil too, again, is that natural retinoic acid. So it's super beneficial. It is amazing skin regenerator. As it is an amazing skin regenerator, it feeds your skin, these properties to really brighten your skin. The rose hips can actually help to improve your texture, your overall quality. It increases your elasticity. It helps promote radiant, balanced skin. It helps to smooth fine lines and wrinkles, which is incredible. And because all these essential fatty acids and rose hips can help combat these effects. You really notice a big difference for my sensitive skin types like eczema because it has all those fatty nutrients that's feeding the skin. So for skin types like eczema, they haven't always been able to use, vitamin A derivatives in the past because of the synthetic form. And so using something like rose hip can really help to feed all of that benefit to sensitive skin types like eczema, and it's also really great at reducing redness and inflammation of the skin. So it's super great for acneic skin, for dark spots, A spots, hyperpigmentation. Apricot kernel oil again is another natural, really high source of vitamin A. It's rich in the omega-6, omega-9 fatty acids. It contains high amount of vitamin E content as well. So it's going to help to boost your circulation, repair scarred and damaged skin while also fighting off free radical damage. It's also going to help reduce the oxidation of sebum in the pores. So it's really great at preventing blackheads from forming, which again is lymphatic congestion. And it's going to also really help to strengthen and repair your barrier as well.
There's a lot of vitamins. And again, asking the questions, what are you eating? What have you used for medicine in the past? And I know that estheticians don't have to know nobody knows everything. That's not the point. But if you start to ask the questions and then say, oh, well, what is that medicine? How has it affected you? Or what is that therapy that you've been using? And you look at the ingredients, or you ask them, hey, look at the ingredients and see what's in there. Because if you're looking at more than a few ingredients in your whatever you're putting on your body, it's likely there's some things that you might not be beneficial, or if you don't know what the words mean because it's all chemistry, that's another time to say to people like, that's that might be another sign that something that you're putting on isn't beneficial. And that's the beauty of KPS, is that all their products are plant-based. They do put some proprietary, they've actually patented. So they've gone through the legal process to protect some of the things that they make within product. So they don't have full disclosure on the EWG.org. And that puts them in a category 2 usually. And that's because category 1 requires that all ingredients have to be listed in their entirety. And they don't do that because they have patented technology. So when you have a rocket scientist that makes your skincare line, they're going to be very precise in exactly how they make it. And they're also going to legally protect their recipes so that other people don't make very shoddy attempts to reproduce what they're creating. And so they do put a lot of vitamin A in, particularly the eye serum, right? And there's the eye serum, and then there's the regular one, and then there's naked. So they have still a lot of aromatherapy components in their eye serum because they're trying to really get maximal benefit out of each product. But then some people can be sensitive to that, oftentimes because they're actually pulling out toxins around their eyes. So the eyes and the eye serum can often be pulling out like fungal infections or deep set congestion spots, stress lines. And so the eye serum can sometimes seemingly be irritating because actually doing a lot of healing. And so some people will go with the eye serum naked version. But we don't find that's that often. So we don't really use that product too much. So I think we have one last nutrient to kind of micronutrient to kind of expose, and then we'll wrap up. So it's collagen, right? I mean, collagen.
Collagen, the thing that we all want more of. And something that I always hear in my treatment room, again, is I'm struggling with fine lines and wrinkles. I have a loss of elasticity that I'm starting to notice. I want to take preventive measures towards my aging. My skin always feels dry. Nothing seems to help it. I'm starting to notice that my skin is sagging in certain places. What do I do about it? My skin feels really thin, just really like flimsy. My lips are thinning out. Should I go and do lip filler? What should I do? Nothing's going to help it. Do you have anything that would help me address my cellulite? My hair is feeling really thin and brittle. I noticed that my nails are a little bit more weak. And so these are all telltale signs that there is collagen deficiency happening within your body. And so First, it's important to preface that these, preventive aging is something that a lot of people are going to look for, especially with collagen. You really need to feed your body, a great source of collagen, but it isn't, a supplement alone, isn't a product alone, it isn't something alone. There has to be a very diverse approach to how you feed your body these collagen rich sources to make it bioavailable for your body. And so your body starts to slow down its collagen processes when you're starting at your mid-20s. You start to lose about 1% per year. And so that might not seem like a lot, but in the next 20, 30 years, that compounds a lot. And when you think about your collagen is what really lubricates and protects your bones, your joints, your skin. It's what, feeds the body, just all of these nutritional and strengthening support systems. And you can really lose your collagen support through things like stress, smoking, sun exposure, excess amount of sugar. You'll really start to notice the glycation around the mouth, and we'll go into that a little bit deeper in another masterclass, but environmental pollutants. And so there's all these things that can pull at the integrity of how much collagen you have within your body. And so we take a very diverse approach to how we feed collagen in the body. And so I'd love for you to take it away, Dr. Swain, to talk about the first part.
Right. So the collagen that we use orally is actually a nice blend with a lot of emphasis on proline. I was recently, well, I think even this morning, listening to Maggie O, who has her own skincare line now, saying it's not the collagen, it's the arginine, the lysine, and the proline. And I was like, but those are all amino acids that are present in collagen. So that I thought was really consumer detrimental. So what collagen is basically a already pre-existing structure, and it's mostly animal based, but there are ways to, again, use technology to kind of concentrate the beneficial effects of collagen supplementation so people can maximize that. And then there's collagen cofactors that make the collagen even more supportive for kind of attaching, if you will, and regenerating in the body. And oftentimes, I mean, one of those, I should say, is vitamin C. So the body wants to rebuild, and it wants to rebuild once it has those building blocks to rebuild. And people can get that from food. They can get it from supplementation. They can also get it in a lot of products, but that are applied if they get the right ones. But a lot of times too, emphasizing that vitamin C is a great way to give a nice boost to the skin so you can help repair the collagen that's there.
Absolutely. And something else too that really helps to drive in and really encourage more collagen is two of our favorite treatments, microneedling with PRP. If you're not familiar with it, microneedling is a very profound service. It really resets the entire baseline and integrity of your skin. And when you think about, for a moment, think about the past 10 years of your life. Think about everything you put on your skin, everything that you've come in contact with your skin, every environment that you've been around with your skin. That's a lot of time that our skin has undergone so many different things. And so when you can set a whole new baseline, you basically erase 10 years of all that accelerated buildup within the skin by this one service alone. And so it's so profound for completely getting down to the dermis and really creating that pivotal change with creating those really deep micro injuries that help to produce and enhance more collagen production. It does that in a form of creating a micro injury, the same as if you fall down and you cut yourself, and your body sends those immediate collagen reports to those areas, the body, to then feed new healthy skin cells to come to the surface and replenish itself. That's the same way that your body utilizes microneedling of PRP. And where PRP comes in is it's a platelet rich plasma. We call it the liquid gold of your body because we spin down your plasma, which is your blood. So it's made of your own chemistry, and we feed it back to the skin. So it has a ton of healing capabilities. And so you're not only resetting your whole baseline, you're feeding it, your body and your skin its own processes that really helps the skin to thrive. And so you notice your skin's immediate difference in the brightness, the vitality, the youthfulness. It can really replace, other forms of, Botox and things like that on there in the market that are really toxic for the body. This is its own, I say healthy tax because you're, accentuating your own skin in your body by lifting it up. It's lifting and sculpting. It's completely resetting a whole new baseline. It can be used for various parts of the body to create pivotal change. It can address scarring, really deep, acne marks, deep marionette lines. So there's so many things that microneedling can help with, but the biggest thing is what to do afterwards. And so things like KPS really come into play because you have all this nutrition formulated in these products. And so when you do something like microneedling and PRP, you're feeding your largest organ, down to the dermis, all of this nutrition. And so you're not just creating pivotal change with the function, but the form and everything that comes afterwards is continuing that change. And something else that can be beneficial that all estheticians can do, as long as you are licensed and you are trained in this appropriately, is nanoneedling. Nanoneedling is a great form of microneedling. It's like the sub form of it, to where it helps to build off of microneedling and build off of those results. And so microneedling is great to do a few times a year, but the nanoneedling helps to really sustain those results and take them to the next level each month, because you're constantly building and re-encouraging and enhancing more collagen production within your skin.
Right. And so there's physician level microneedling, which can go to 2.5 millimeter depth, which is pretty substantial. And it's pretty rare that I will go to that depth. Usually I'll do that like in a very thick neck or maybe some very thick cheeks for penetration. And then nano needling done by licensed and trained estheticians in this procedure is 0.25 millimeters. And the places that I go 0.25 millimeters are under the eyes, and then also the line of the cheek, or I'm sorry, the line of the lip, above and below, because lips will bleed and you can get a really nice line with nano over and over again, which is, your patients and your clients will love that. And then the other areas just get that nice kind of gentle stimulation for collagen induction. It's really fantastic to have a procedure for collagen induction. It's often called the vampire facial. That's when you use PRP and you keep some of the, which is your own blood, drawn and spun down. So we usually take the yellow, but the vampire facial, they kept a little bit of the red blood cells in it. So that's where sometimes people will have that very red face after they do microneedling. And then also PRP injections. They'll have the serum for microneedling for the doctor level will be red. Their face will be red. That's not how we do it in our office, but we'll talk about PRP on another day. But microneedling is this little tiny injury, but I do want to say that estheticians really can make a wonderful impact at the 0.25. And that's the level of the licensure. Some people try to go a little bit a different way, but there can be some ramifications if done incorrectly. And 0.25 is, I mean, I don't know how to do 0.25 incorrectly. So it's really nice because you get results, you get maintenance visits, and you have happy people with virtually no side effect. So that's a really nice thing for 0.25. And it's crazy how well that collagen induction happens even at the 0.25. So that's a procedure that's pretty impressive, but it's true. You have to keep nourishing the skin so it can keep healing at post procedure, because it can only do so much if it runs out of gas, right? If you don't have the fuel there to create the healing,
Absolutely.
then you won't have as much benefit. So those were the three that we wanted to highlight, right?
Yep.
And then if anyone has any questions, which I know there's a lot of information. Jordan and I talk really fast and furious. We've been known for that for a while. But that's okay. So we'll do these. We're planning on doing them monthly. We do want to add RNs to this, and then we'll release a recording as well. So if you would love to share that, or we want people to know about holistic healthcare, because it is difficult to kind of
Absolutely.
make that transition.
And
Yeah.
something else that I want to bring up too, that now that everyone's on as well, is that in the coming future, in the coming months, Dr. Swain and I are also launching a really big Transform Your Skin course. So if you are an esthetician and you are seeking out further education, this is a very, very big course for you and your career. And not even just that, but yourself. There's going to be so much knowledge in there that will be accessible that you can provide not only to your own life, but your client's life. So definitely take or be on the lookout for that. We'll have the launch date and whatnot. So again, if you are loving what you're learning and want to, feed into it so much more, this is going to be something that's coming in the coming months as well.
Yay.
Yay, thank you. Yeah,
We'd love
I
to
love that.
excited. Yeah. All right. Well, then I guess we'll see you next month. If not before, reach out on Insta or however you want to get a hold of us if there's any questions that come up or anything to clarify.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really enjoyed it.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you.
We're so
Thank
glad to have you. And again, if you have any questions at all, or if you have any recommendations or things that you notice that, would be a great topic to come by, we're always open for suggestions too. We just kind of brain dump our topics and just kind of see what's needed, but we're always open to suggestions as well.
Thank you so much.
Question.
Oh, yes, I want to hear it. Oh, Sadie, I can't hear you.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now I can. Yes.
Okay. So with taking collagen, is there like another supplement you have to take that like binds with it to make it work, or is everything like already in the collagen that we
Great
have?
question.
So
Because I've seen stuff where you have to take something else, but I don't know.
you have people kind of on the spectrum for how much collagen they need and how difficult it is for collagen to repair. Usually, if someone's kind of moderate or mild, where they know they're kind of losing some collagen, it's age related, but it's not really showing and there's not a lot of sag or kind of thinning, then collagen does pretty well for repair. And then you have to think too, you're adding vitamin C and a lot of other things to help heal the skin that are other nutritional support overall. But if they're really depleted, like very saggy skin, very thin, droopy, you're just thinking, man, that bridge is never going to get built again. You really want to amplify with collagen cofactors because that is going to give them the best chance of getting that collagen to really rebuild an infrastructure. And that does require cofactors. Most things in the body actually require a lot of cofactors. So you kind of get that big whammy, but then if you're not getting the results, very soon, within 1 to 2 months with our collagen, then yeah, they need to be adding that collagen cofactor.
Okay. All right.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I don't have any questions like based on the information as of right now, but where will we have access to the recording of this? Because I'd love to like rewatch it multiple times to like get the most out of it since there was so much like great stuff. But so I didn't know if there was somewhere that it'll be like posted. I know you said it was maybe posted, but I don't know like where would we find that?
We will link it. We can email you the links for all the attendees, and then we can also we'll put it on Instagram too, because we're really glad that you came, but we also want to make sure that other people, if they want to access it, they can, and we'd love for you to share that link as well. So it'll be a YouTube video with a link for anyone to watch if they have the link.
Oh,
so
perfect.
and we'll make it as public
Okay,
as
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
That's a great question.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Questions?
everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was so happy to have you. And we're again looking forward to this, doing this monthly. So if you are seeking out more education, definitely hop on with this monthly. We'd love to have you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.